1959. A kitchen in Bronzeville, Chicago, Saturday morning before church. A mother presses her daughter's hair at the stove. The comb passes the temple. The girl shifts, just barely. Hot brass touches the soft skin behind the earlobe. The sharp inhale. The mother's voice, calm and immediate. Hold still, not an apology, a command. Because she carries the same mark from her own mother's kitchen 20 years before. That scar is still there today, on millions of black women over 50. The ritual that made it has vanished. The mark has not. What replaced the pressing comb was not progress. It was profit. By the late 1970s, the relaxer companies and the salon franchise chains had a financial interest in making the hot comb look primitive. They did not replace it with something better. They replaced it with something more expensive. And in doing so, they dismantled a ritual that had held mothers and daughters together in kitchens across Black America for the better part of a century. The mark behind the ear is the only receipt for a world that was taken, and this is the story of how it got there. The pressing comb was heavy, solid brass or cast iron with a wooden handle and teeth set close together. It had no cord and no plug. It did not come from a salon supply catalog. It came from the hardware store or the colored beauty supply on the corner. A Poro pressing comb cost $1.50 in 1955. A standard brass model from the 5 and dime ran about $1. Madam C.J. Walker did not invent it, though the myth persists. What she did was build a distribution network that put one in nearly every black household in America by 1920. The comb itself was older than her company. Versions of it existed in France in the 1870s. But Walker understood something no manufacturer before her had grasped. The comb was not a product. It was infrastructure. It sat on the stove the way the cast iron skillet sat on the stove. Permanent, seasoned by use. The handle darkened over the years until the wood turned nearly black. The teeth never bent. Some combs served 2 generations, some served 3. A woman did not buy a pressing comb the way she bought a tube of lipstick. She inherited one, or she was given one the day she started pressing her own daughter's hair. That moment was a threshold. The day the comb passed from your mother's hand to yours was the day you entered a lineage that stretched back further than anyone in the kitchen could name. Saturday morning, 6:30 or 7 o'clock, depending on how many heads needed doing before church. The kitchen smelled like bergamot before anyone said a word. A jar of Posner's bergamot pressing oil sat open on the counter. 40 cents at the drugstore. Some women used Royal Crown or Dixie Peach or Sulphur 8, depending on the region and the family. The oil warmed on the back of the stove in a small saucepan or was rubbed straight from the jar between the palms. The comb went across the front burner, a low blue flame. Not high, never high. The temperature test came next. A piece of brown paper bag torn from the grocery sack folded under the sink. The comb pressed flat against the paper. If it scorched dark brown, too hot. Wait. Test again. When the paper turned faint gold, the temperature was right. No thermometer, no digital readout. The paper bag was the gauge. The woman's wrist and her experience were the controls. This technology was not primitive. It was precise. It demanded a kind of knowledge that no instruction manual could teach, because it lived in the hands. The daughter sat on the kitchen chair, sometimes a phone book on the seat if she was small. Knees together, towel on the shoulders, head tilted forward or to the side depending on the section. The mother parted the hair with the rat tail end of a comb, applied oil with her fingertips, and drew the pressing comb through from root to tip in one slow motion. The soft sizzle of oil meeting heat, steam rising from the strand like morning fog off a pond. Each section fell straight and heavy and shining against the neck. The whole head took 45 minutes or an hour, depending on thickness and texture. The nape was last. The kitchen, they called it. The tightest curls, the hardest part. The part that mattered most, because if the kitchen was not pressed smooth, the whole job looked undone. And through it all, the daughter sat still. Not because she was told to, because she trusted the hands behind her. A child does not sit motionless while hot metal passes an inch from her skin because of obedience. She does it because of faith. And that faith was not given once. It was rebuilt every Saturday morning for years. The pressing comb required a relationship between two people that no beauty tool on the market today even attempts to replicate. The burn happened to almost everyone at least once. The anatomy was simple. The skin behind the earlobe is soft and thin where the cartilage ends, and the flesh curves inward toward the jaw. The mother's fingertip folded the top of the ear forward to keep it out of the path of the comb. One flinch from the daughter, 1/2 second where the comb lingered too long at the temple. One bead of sweat rolling down the forehead into the eyes, causing a shift of the head at the wrong moment. Contact. Hot brass against bare skin. Not a slow burn like a sunburn. A sharp, instant searing point of heat that registered before the brain could name it. The daughter gasped. The mother pulled the comb away in the same instant. The response was immediate and practiced. Almost a dab of Vaseline from the blue jar on the counter, or a swipe of cocoa butter, or a cube of ice wrapped in a washcloth pressed behind the ear. The mother did not panic. She had done this before. She had had this done to her. Her own mother had done it to her in this same kitchen, or one just like it 25 years earlier. The reaction was not guilt. It was recognition. Nobody cried. Or if the girl cried, she was told to hold still so it would not happen again. By evening, a small blister formed behind the lobe. By the following Saturday, a dark spot appeared, slightly raised, slightly smoother than the surrounding skin. It never fully faded. The burn was not trauma in the way modern language uses that word. It was a known cost. Every woman who ever pressed hair expected it the way a seamstress expects a needle stick. The difference is the seamstress's mark disappears. This one stayed. And it stayed in a place only the woman herself could find with her fingers. There is no medical term for this mark. No dermatologist has named it. No study has counted how many women carry it. The American Academy of Dermatology has published no paper on the small oval hyperpigmentation scar behind the left or right earlobe, common among Black American women born before 1970. It does not exist in the clinical record, but if you asked every Black woman over 55 in any church pew in Detroit or Atlanta or Memphis or Houston to touch the back of her ear, most of them could find it without looking. A scar that lives on the bodies of millions of women and in the memory of millions more. That silence is not an accident. That silence is the whole story. The pressing comb was not only a family ritual, it was an economy. In every Black neighborhood in America from the 1930s through the 1970s, there was a woman who pressed hair for money in her kitchen. The kitchen beautician. She was not licensed. She did not need to be. Her credential was her reputation, built one head at a time over years. Miss Geneva in New Orleans, Miss Earlene in Baltimore, Miss Doris on the south side of Chicago. Every neighborhood had one, and every woman in that neighborhood knew her name. Saturday mornings, her kitchen became a salon. 3 folding chairs in the front room for waiting, 2 pressing combs heating at once on the stove. The price written by hand on a card taped to the refrigerator. Press and curl, $2. Children, $1.50. A hot oil treatment, 50 cents extra. She could do 6 to 8 heads on a good Saturday. $12 to $16. In 1962, that was real money for a woman who might also clean houses during the week or take in laundry. The pressing comb was her business license, her storefront, and her equipment all in one. She was more than a hairdresser. She was a banker who took payment in installments when money was tight. A therapist who listened while she pressed and never repeated what she heard outside that kitchen. A newswire who knew who was getting married, who was expecting, who had fallen ill, who had left town in the middle of the night, and why. No cosmetology board could credential what she already was. No franchise could replicate what she built, because what she offered was not a service. It was a place to be known. The pressing comb did not exist in a vacuum. Pressed hair was often a requirement, though nobody used that word. Job interviews at downtown department stores where black women were just beginning to be hired as clerks in the late 1950s. Church on Sunday morning where a woman's appearance announced her self-respect before she opened her mouth. School picture day, a graduation ceremony. The unspoken rules of respectability in mid-century black America were not written on paper. They were written on the body, and the pressing comb was the instrument that brought the body into compliance. A teacher in Birmingham in 1961 could send a girl home for unkempt hair without explanation. A hiring manager at J.C. Penney could pass over an applicant and never say the reason aloud. Everyone understood, neat appearance required. Those 3 words in a job listing carried a specific meaning, and every black woman who read them knew what they had to do before the interview. The mother pressing her daughter's hair on Saturday morning was not making a political statement. She was arming her child for a world that judged first and listened second. The mark behind the ear is not just a scar from a comb. It is a scar from a world that demanded a certain version of beauty and left the cost on the bodies of the women who carried it. The pressing comb was love. The pressing comb was also survival. Both of those truths live in the same mark. These women were not victims of their own kitchens. They were also not free from the rules they were navigating. A woman can love her daughter fiercely and still participate in a system she did not build and does not fully endorse, because the alternative is sending that child into the world unprotected. Every Saturday morning in every kitchen was both tenderness and strategy happening in the same motion at the same time. Then the industry came for it. By the late 1960s, chemical relaxers were being marketed directly to black women as the modern alternative. Dark and Lovely launched its home relaxer kit and sold it as liberation from the hot comb. TCB No Lie relaxer followed. Revlon Realistic. The advertisements ran in ebony and jet and on black radio stations in every major city. The message was consistent. The pressing comb was old-fashioned. The pressing comb was dangerous. The pressing comb was your grandmother's way. The relaxer was the future. A home relaxer kit cost $3 to $5. A salon relaxer ran $15 to $25 and needed retouching every 6 to 8 weeks. The pressing comb cost $1.50 once and lasted a lifetime. The economics were not complicated. The pressing comb generated no repeat revenue. The relaxer generated repeat revenue every 6 weeks for years. The industry did not improve the process. It relocated the profit. From the kitchen to the corporation, from the neighborhood woman with 2 pressing combs on the stove to the chemical company with a national ad budget. The kitchen beautician lost her clients one by one through the 1970s. The mother who pressed hair lost her Saturday mornings with her daughter. The comb went into the back of the drawer, then into a box in the hall closet, then into a bag bound for the Goodwill or the church rummage sale. And then it was gone, not all at once, but steadily, quietly, the way a language dies, not with a last speaker screaming, but with a generation simply choosing not to teach it to the next. And the relaxer brought its own burns, the chemical tingle that turned to fire on the scalp when left a minute too long, the scabs along the hairline, the thinning at the temples after years of use, a different kind of damage in a different location, but damage nonetheless. The pressing comb left a small dark mark behind the ear that faded into the skin. The relaxer left bald patches and broken strands that were visible from across the room. The industry called this progress. The natural hair movement arrived in the 2000s. Young black women began wearing their hair unstraightened, unrelaxed, in its natural texture. Social media gave them a platform and a community. Brands followed with curl creams, edge controls, twist butters, and deep conditioners marketed as natural and organic. The average black woman in America now spends over $470 a year on hair care products. The pressing comb cost $1.50 and a jar of bergamot cost 40 cents. The products changed. The spending only increased. Every era found a new way to make black women pay. The pressing comb has disappeared from most kitchens. The relaxer era has faded. The natural hair era has arrived with its own vocabulary and its own price tags. Through every shift, one thing has remained constant. The mark behind the ear. A woman in her 60s, standing in a bathroom in Memphis, touches the back of her left earlobe with her fingertip. A small dark oval, slightly raised, slightly smoother than the skin around it. She has not thought about it in years, but she can find it without a mirror. She could find it in the dark. That mark is the only physical evidence of a ritual that connected millions of women and left no other record. While the ritual itself has been captured in photographs, detailed in famous memoirs, and explored in documentaries, the specific physical scar remains an unchronicled record carried in the memories and on the bodies of the women themselves. The Library of Congress holds no archive of pressing comb scars. The Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture does not display one. When the last generation of women who carry this mark is gone, the mark will vanish from the earth entirely. And no institution will notice because no institution thought to look. But right now, today, in a kitchen somewhere on the south side of Chicago, or in Fifth Ward, Houston, or in Flatbush, Brooklyn, a grandmother is heating a pressing comb on a stove burner. The oil is warming on the counter. A young girl is sitting in a chair with a towel on her shoulders. The grandmother parts the hair at the temple and folds the ear down gently with the tip of her finger. The comb passes slow from root to tip. Steam rises. The strand falls straight and heavy and shining. And the girl holds still. Not because anyone told her to, because she trusts the hands.